Good morning, dear Rob and Jeff. Letter number 95. The summary of the circus continued. I ran out of tape. So I was saying, Stevie and Joey were interchangeable with the different configuration of kiddie ride rigs at different malls. Sometimes three or four attractions at one mall. We'd be in front of A&S, we'd be in front of Macy's, and we'd be in front of Sears in the old days. Um, Joey didn't take shit from anybody like store owners or security guards. Neither did his brother Steve. Uh, so, uh, so we'd go into the mall and we'd take over. There were Barney Fife-like security people every time, hysterical with their whistles and radios. We'd set up the indoor yard fence for the critters. The big critter pens were within, in the middle of the mall, ticket booth, etc. We'd cover the mall tile floor with wood shavings via 100-pound bags times a million. We bought them along the way. Feed stores, feed stores that only these guys knew where they were. Feed stores. Hay, straw, and shavings. The critters eat the hay and they bed in the straw. And we'd set up the kiddie rides, each ends of the malls. We'd set up the first night, all night, and like magic, they'd be operational by the opening the next day. People would come in and there's a merry-go-round. The merry-go-round was huge, giant engine in the middle, platforms. You actually hung the horses one at a time. It was crazy. Be up on top of the thing, cleaning a canvas 80 feet up. It was crazy stuff. But we did it. We did it good. Trump. Uh, so we'd run the 60 animals in separately. And the first morning, we'd have to run the animals from the truck where they slept outside the trailer into the mall. And there was a million tricks to doing it properly. And I quickly learned. Uh, and we'd walk the exotic animals into the center mall yard, uh, put all them in their pens inside the yard, and then all the goats would follow the lead goat. Yes, they had a lead goat. How the goats decided this, I don't know. The lead goat would follow any handler that ran in front of it. So I was soon running through the mall parking lot with 50 goats chasing me. Luckily, I had Deer Park Avenue experience at this. Grr. Then we'd run them down through the maintenance corridors and come out somewhere in the mall, always a few stores down from the center courtyard zoo. Sometimes the goats would splinter off and turn into like a luggage store and start eating luggage labels and stuff. Oops, sorry. Haha. So store owners. So we'd get them all inside and start filling little Dixie cups full of feed times a zillion and sell to peeps for 25 cents each to feed the critters, and it was 50 cents to get in. And there could be lines for hours on Saturdays. It was crazy. We moved thousands of peeps through those kids. Uh, Kids, animals, cute, yes. But we were on poop patrol immediately and all day. If the store owners got a whiff, they would complain. 9:30 to 9:30, poop patrol. Endless days of this. Uh, we This was so successful that they split off a second petting zoo. And guess who was in the manager? Go ahead, guess. PD Gomez. Richard Simmons, come on down. Mark Ruggles from the story. So I adopted this guy, Mark. man-child because I was the assistant manager of myself, and he was in charge all day. He'd rip out the eyes of a store owner too. But at night, when he wanted to party, a little bit of alcoholism there, it was a role reversal because I had to be the responsible one, protect him and the cash from him, and we had 12 hours to work the next day. So many stories from this, too many. One time in Brooklyn, Kings Plaza Mall, huge 3-story mall. I'd never seen a mall this size in my life. It was huge in Brooklyn, in the middle of Brooklyn. So Mark had to go somewhere else, and somehow I was in charge. So I called my buddy Gomez from New York, and he came out to work for us in Brooklyn, and a rare opportunity to hang with his brother Pete one night. I think we all went out to a diner. Mark told me the next day, and they slipped me a lewd, and I ate a whole meal with no silverware. Not proud of it, but it happens. So anyway, in Brooklyn, Mark left, so I was kind of in charge, and I had my buddy, and I would bring my brothers and sisters in if they could get there and stuff. When you needed people to work, you needed people to work. It was not funny because otherwise you sat in that booth from 9:30 to 9:30. You had to eat and go to the bathroom at some point. So I'm in charge, and one night we're closing down the petting zoo, and I would run the exotic animals out. Brutus the bull on a leash, Rudy the kangaroo on a leash, Ivan, I'd stick my hand in his mouth, and the llamas, you would walk with one hand around each of their, like your arm around their shoulder, with the front of your hand holding the front of their long necks. And if you could lift your feet up, you could actually ride. So you'd walk the llamas. Now, llamas are very jittery animals. They're constantly looking around, looking around, looking around. If you drop a pebble by them, they jump 10 feet in the air. Had to be careful with the kids in the yard, and you had to be careful with your movements in the yard because your movements with the poop scoop could send the llama jumping into people. So I kind of learned the llama's blind spot very well. So I would not be in it so that they would see me coming up from behind them. So if I was in their blind spot coming up behind them, I would move to left or right so I would get out of their blind spot so they could see me coming and not jump on the kids. So after doing this for months, I had that llama blind spot down pat, luckily, because my buddy comes to me and says, let me walk the llamas out. Let me walk the llamas out. Let me walk the llamas out. And I was busy, cashing out and doing, 12 other things. I says, okay, the ramp was already down on the truck. He just had to walk the llamas out. But there was a trick, like those little tricks I told you of moving the exotic critters. When you went to go up the ramp with a llama under each arm, when you got up to the top of the ramp, you had to let one llama go a split second before the other one, because you all couldn't fit through the door that wide. You had to narrow it. One llama went, and then me and the other llama. My buddy didn't know that little trick, so I suspect he went to get the llamas up the ramp into the door in one move, and one of the llamas must have hit the side of the truck because they couldn't fit. Lily, the smaller one, and down she went into the parking lot. And I guess he got the other one into the pen in the truck, and he comes running into me horrified. Bobby, the llama's loose. You never want to hear that in Brooklyn in this situation. So the llama's loose in the Brooklyn parking lot. So what do, sister? I don't know. You go get the llama. So I go running out, and I wish I had this on film. The llama had stopped in the middle of a grass island about 50, 75 feet around, and there was a whole crowd of people 100 people standing around that circle of grass, looking, watching the llama eating grass, looking around, eating grass, looking around, eating grass, looking around, eating grass, looking around. So I, having this blind spot experience, I like Cain walking on the rice paper. I'm creeping up behind this llama from 50 feet away, in its blind spot, solidly in its blind spot. And I get up, and if it goes a little left, I got to go a little right. If it goes a little right, I got to go a little left. And the crowd quiets, and another surreal crowd moment in BA's history. And I'm creeping up, and Lily's trying to, see me, but she can't because I'm in a blind spot. I get within 5 feet, and I make a Tarzan dive, and I just dive, hand stretched out, and I catch a handful of her hair, by her chest. And boom, I wrap her in a hug, and I got her, and the crowd goes wild. And it was a $25,000 animal. Thank you very much. So I brought the llama back in, and we laughed and we laughed. Uh, that's enough for today, this morning. Love you, boys. Rob and Jeff. Peace.